very rarely think about Sicilian queens. What were they like? And what kind of power did they actually hold? Hi everyone, this is the first installment in a brand new series I'm starting all on Sicilian queens. So if you want to hear more about queens from Sicily, make sure you like and follow the Sicilian School. So let's begin with Judith Devereux. To begin, Judith wasn't actually ever a queen of Sicily. She was married to Roger I of Sicily, who was a Grand Count of Sicily, so she would have at the very least been a countess. But their story is a pretty interesting one. Judith was born in 1050, and she didn't live very long. She lived to 1076. However, in her short life, she did quite a few things. She came from a very royal family. In fact, she was the second cousin of William the Conqueror. And she met Roger long before he was the Grand Count of Sicily. She met him, in fact, when he didn't really have much of a fortune, but Roger seemed to be taken with her almost immediately. And he made his intentions clear to her. However, Judith knew that her family wouldn't allow her to marry someone of such low standing. So Roger left with his brother, Robert, to venture south into the Mediterranean and see what they could accomplish. When Roger established enough control over Sicily that he was stably becoming count, he sent for Judith and they got married in 1062. So if we do the math, Judith would have been 12 years old. However, she must have been a rather accomplished and tenacious 12-year-old. You see, Roger was still in the process of taking various cities that were still under Muslim control across the island. And when he left on his various military campaigns, he often left Judith in charge of the citadels in order to manage the garrisons and the battalions that were making sure that the cities would stay under Norman control and to guard against any rebellion. In fact, Judith was quite accomplished at safeguarding the rebellion at Troina, also in 1062, managing to keep the rebels at bay until Roger was able to come back with his military forces and retake the city. So this is pretty amazing when we think about Judith's standing in Sicily. Judith also made it her mission to ensure that the troops were well taken care of, often enlisting help from her servants to cook and make clothing for the troops that were manning the citadels. Sadly, at the age of 26, Judith died, and it is said that Roger never recovered from her death.